lot of people that are just feeling like we need to band together and we need to form a collective against TuneCore, distributors against Spotify, collective against AI.
I think that there's so much power in community and having a united voice.
If you sell a song on Udio and the vocals and the song style really sounds like a known artist, can the original artist sue you for infringing their right to publicity?
Yeah, maybe. And funny enough, so we did that collab with Jesse with Sync My Music, and not to like spoil anything, but he's going to be discussing ways that he was able to get one of these platforms to actually generate something that sounds very much like other people's songs. And so I had someone, been like, "Oh, could I get these AI platforms to make cover songs?" And no, they're not supposed to, right? There shouldn't be any similarities of likeness. Shouldn't be writing, literal copies of other people's songs and things like that. But there are ways, at least as of now, to get it to do it based on input that you give. So the answer is, if you do ways to manipulate something so it does sound like someone and then you try to pass it off as that someone, obviously you're going to run into some problems. If you have an end product that just happens to sound like someone else, are you going to get into trouble? There's a lot that goes into the whole, it depends. That's the lawyer answer.
How do I get a sample cleared? What does the process usually look like? And what types of agreements do people come to if they want a sample with clearance? What do you recommend for independent, low-budget artists who want to sample music legally?
I was talking to a client yesterday about this, and I was like, just showing very fast on how we do it, because I'm like, I can just show you how to do it, and then you and your team can do this. And so I was thinking maybe I should just do a video, because I think you guys would find this super helpful. It's essentially just how to find the contact information for the owners, which are usually the publishers, the record labels, and then you just reach out yourself. It really is that simple. But, obviously you need to stay on it. You need to follow up. You need to make sure you get a response, and then you have to negotiate the license. So that's why people hire attorneys to do it for them, because it's quite the headache.
No, for sure. And it sucks because artists, when you're getting into sampling and stuff, because and you're sampling artists and you're making your beats, and then you get really excited and you get kind of married to the song and you love how it is and all this kind of stuff, and then you can't get it cleared, and then it's just kind of like heartbreaking. It's easier for artists that are signed because a lot of times their label will just own songs, and they'll have like this list of catalog or whatever that they can pick their, what songs maybe they can sample from. At least that's what I imagine it to be, because they buy all the rights from this, so they already have rights cleared, or they have access to it. But if you're doing things beforehand, it's kind of hard when you're at a beginning level. So I mean, that's why there's all these new plugins and stuff, and Splice that has samples that you can chop up, so it gives you like vibes. And we'll see what ends up happening with AI. I don't know. But it's tough because you want to sample. It's an art form. It's an incredible way to make music. If you get the right sample and you get the right vibe, you can really make something cool. Can you get paid for doing DJ mixes and putting them on YouTube? Obviously, assuming none of the music has copyright restrictions.
So yeah, I mean, if you're doing DJ mixes, right, so whose music are we mixing? If it's your music and you're putting it on YouTube,
Yeah.
No problem. But look, if you're using other people's music and remixing, that's always where we get into these like, is it sampling? Is it interpolation? Because if it's either of those things, and it's not just a straight cover, we go, if it's a cover song, there's all these things built into US copyright law to protect you, which is great news. But when you put it to a video, that's where the protections end, and you're supposed to go and get a license. And it's funny, I actually have a case right now where we have all of these songs that we want to license for people on YouTube to use. And that means for thousands and thousands of songs, we have to go and figure out if we can get like these umbrella sync licenses. It's quite the pain in the butt. Anyway, so it doesn't sound like that's what this is. It sounds like you're mixing maybe other people's music. If that's the case, you might run into some problems.
Right. But if you're just doing all your own stuff, if you're just running your own DJ mixes, now we saw this when COVID hit, that if you were trying to get a DJ controller, you were kind of on back order because everybody was stuck at home. Everybody learned to be a DJ, trying to release their, doing their DJ mixes on Facebook. They were doing them on IG. They were doing them on Twitch to try to kind of keep the vibe going and keep the party going while everybody was locked indoors. But then, Facebook started banning all those accounts that were doing that and pulling them down, and you were getting flagged if you tried to do it really anywhere. So it kind of became pointless. There's still some people that get get away with it, but obviously it's not the run because you just keep getting flagged. I know I would within like 5 minutes of trying to do anything, and I was doing pretty obscure stuff still. So, there's that to think about too. But I mean, if you're monetized on your channel and it's all your stuff and you're just doing long mixes, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with AI music. What if people are making AI music, like house AI music, and then they're doing DJ mixes? I mean, it's not in the system yet. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. Should producers like myself obtain an entertainment lawyer to legally shop tracks to artists? Like if I want to showcase tracks to Drake, will a lawyer help on the business?
Yeah, so okay, this is a special kind of thing. I have people contact me all the time who I don't represent, and they're just like, "Hey, will you shop me to record labels?" And it's just out of the blue. I don't know who they are. I don't do that. The answer is generally to a complete stranger. No, I don't do that. For my clients who I represent, yeah, absolutely. I'm representing them. I'm negotiating. I'll make a little introduction. I have a lot of relationships already. So if you're someone who is, a songwriter, there has to be some logical kind of connection with what we're doing. Again, it just doesn't make sense to be like you're, a songwriter and you want me to make all these introductions and things like that if there's no reason or basis or relationship or something like that. So I just say that just to be clear that typically my general answer is no, because I'm not that kind of attorney. There's, entertainment attorneys who will just literally do this for anyone, and they have a terrible reputation, and I don't have that.
Yeah, it
I
messes
have
it
a
messes
very
you
good
up.
reputation, but when I throw in to help you and to make introductions, I go in for my clients for sure.
Right, but they got to really be kind of common with something. Like you only get so many opportunities, and as far as when you're pitching stuff, when you're helping artists and pitching them to the other people, before you burn bridges, if you're not bringing artists that are quality, like you need to be known for bringing somebody a quality artist. You can't have somebody that doesn't have either their business right, that doesn't have their work ethic right, all those kind of things. If you're gonna put your stamp on, hey, so and so, I got someone I think you should really take a look at.
Top Music Attorney is your #1 legal resource for artists, producers, and record labels. Get contract templates, one-on-one legal advice, free master classes, and everything you need for your music business. Go to topmusicattorney.com. Some of the big fancy attorneys in like LA, they'll take a percentage of your total gross income as an artist. And it's a gamble, right? So maybe you don't make a lot of money, they don't make a lot of money, but if you are making a lot of money, that means that percentage is going to them. And so for me, I've always just been, I don't know, I'm just gonna like charge you a certain amount, and then you get to have all the benefits thereafter. You know what I'm saying? So, like we did a deal last year, like in the millions and millions of dollars. And if I got a percentage of that, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to represent it as like taking from the artist. So let me just say, what I do is typically like hourly, or I might even flat fee stuff and be like, just so you know how much it's going to cost, and just try to avoid surprises. So it just depends on who you're working with. There's not a right or wrong way. It's just what you're comfortable with and what the lawyer does.
So if you talk to one attorney and they're saying one way and then another attorney says another way, it's not like one is trying to take advantage of you. They're just doing their deals differently. But it's all commonplace.
Yeah, for sure. And there can be, there's firms who do contingency, right? So these are like personal injury firms, and so they go, we're going to take nothing. You don't have to pay us anything, but if we win, and then the contract, it's like if we win, we take 40%. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of different tiers depending on what people need and what, I don't know. Like for me, I started my firm over 9 years ago, and I just kind of made this commitment that I always wanted to help everyone as best I could. It's a business. I'm not a charity. Like I'm trying to make money, right? But I still, even with my most profitable kind of thing, which is my law firm, I still keep everything reasonable. Like there's just no reason to gouge people. And then even besides that, which is like the premium like kind of thing, like that's why I do Top Music Attorney, and that's why I make a lot of stuff just free, because I just genuinely want to help. And that's even is with the law firm too.
Well, I mean, that's why you got into it, right? Like you got into law to protect yourself, and then all of your musician friends needed help, and then you started helping your friends, and it just kind of continued, and then our friends grew. You know what I mean? So when filing, are you using the recording or is it a written submission?
Good question. So when you're filing for copyright, I'm assuming that's what we're talking
Yeah.
about. So when you're filing for copyright protection and it's for the recorded version, you submit the recorded version. And if you have it in a different format and you're like, it's not quite recorded yet, I just have the sheet. Maybe it's just a lyric sheet. I don't know. So we can file in whatever state the music is at. Typically, you have at least a demo, and so we submit a sound recording.
I wanted to collect my publishing US international without an admin. What companies do I need? The MLC. What are the order of steps? I have BMI Music Reports, my distributor, Sound Exchange, and Luminate.
Well, you say without an admin. So, depending on how you kind of consider this. So, in the US, the Mechanical Licensing Collective for your publishing, plus the performance rights organization, such as BMI, ASCAP rights, you want to at least have those two for collection of publishing. But you also mentioned international. So, the only company that I'm aware of that I've been able to find is what's it called? Song Trust.
Yeah.
So, Song Trust not only will register your stuff with the MLC, which I like because I'm just lazy, but they also collect your publishing internationally, right? So I think they have contracts with like 50 different countries. So that's nice. So for publishing purposes, international and US, that's what I would recommend.
I feel there needs to be a shield against this. Sure, for the hobbyists, it's okay, but for career musicians, it's horrible. Once labels can never pay out producer royalties, they will. We need protection against this. Otherwise, all hope is lost, including the vocalists out there. Stay united or it's game over. There's a lot of people that are just feeling like we need to band together as artists and form some kind of collective. We need to form a collective against TuneCore and distributors. We need to form a collective against Spotify. We need to form a collective against AI. Is this all the same thing? Is this a whole, do we need one collective that addresses all of these things?
Yeah, it's called Top Music Attorney.
Ayo.
It's what we're trying to do. Look. I think that there's so much power in community and having a united voice. And I think in a little way, that's what TuneCore and all the TuneCore stuff that we started, only a few weeks ago at this point, is done. It's allowed all you guys to kind of, come together and us to talk about these issues and to meaningfully have a discussion about how do we change these things? Because, the most incredible change happens with an idea, conversation, which then leads to moves and action items. So I think we're on that path.
Can I extend my trademark internationally, globally through USPTO?
USPTO, the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So for the US, if you want to get a trademark, that's where you have to file to get it federally registered. Once you have it registered, it does not extend for purposes of going and getting a registration in like the UK, right? If you go to another country, you got to just go and register with their registration government body. You know what I'm saying? There are some things that you can do, not to confuse it with like reserving internationally, but the answer is you have to go and register in each country separately, which, obviously is kind of a pain in the butt, but that's how it works.
How and why is Universal Music Group a parent company?
Well, most companies in general are, parent companies and or subsidiaries. So just meaning that there can be imprints. We deal with imprints all the time. The point just being we deal with all kinds of big labels that are actually imprints or subsidiaries, right, underneath the umbrella company. And they just do that because big companies end up going and acquiring everyone else. They get all the money and then they're like,
Sure.
Hey, little company, Republic Records, we're going to go ahead and absorb you and buy you and all your artists and all of your contracts and all of your everything.
And a lot of times that's just
you need the money.
And well, now a lot of times some of those buyouts and stuff are just a part of a bigger deal. So like the company that buys them don't even really care about some of these companies. They just kind of came with the deal, so much as that goes. So that's pretty.
Yeah, it is Universal. I was like, I was questioning myself. So yeah, Republic Records is an imprint of Universal Music Group.